So this weekend sees the final round of 2023 Superbike World Championship, and we are here at the RAC Club in London with Carole Nash ambassador Jonathan Rea. Jonathan, thank you for joining us on Insidebikes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Bit of an end of an era this weekend. How are you feeling going into the last round of the championship?
I haven't really allowed myself to think about it too much because I'm sure it's going to be a very emotional weekend. I've spent the best part of my career, not just in time, but triumphs, race wins, championships with Kawasaki, and of course every good thing comes to an end, and it's my last race for the team, so I'll be saying goodbye to a lot of, not goodbye because we'll share the same paddock next year, but it'll be the last time working together with a lot of the staff, and hopefully I can fight back the tears and use it as good motivation to go out and do a really good job for the team.
I mean, looking back on that time, there must be some amazing highlights. What's the one above all that stands out?
Well, I think two really. I think the first World Championship obviously is the big one because, as a kid riding motorbikes all your life, that was my goal, to be a world champion. And when you realise that, it was just relief, of like a childhood spent working towards that goal. Huge relief, and they give me that opportunity. But winning my first race was also special in Phillip Island. When you change teams and manufacture and you work with new people, it was a lot of pressure going in there. Tom Sykes was my teammate at the time, and we went in and won the first race, and it was like so euphoric. It was incredible. It took me quite a while to come down from cloud 9. I
mean, it's not just Kawasaki been with a long time. You've worked with Carole Nash for, I think, 11 years now.
Sure.
I mean, going back those 11 years, could you ever have foreseen the career that lay ahead of you?
No, definitely not. And I have to thank Carole Nash because they've been with me from the start, even pre-Kawasaki, given me lots of support, and we've worked well together, representing each other. 11 years ago, to think of the position I'm in now is incredible. I think it was after my third world title when people started mentioning me in the same breath as Troy Bayliss, who'd won 3 titles. I was like, no way, because Troy's like a motorbike god, if you like. And then it was 4 titles, and that was Foggy's number, and then stats like the most race wins, and it actually felt like this incredible snowball that just kept building, but not effortlessly, but because a lot of work goes into it. But we were just riding that sort of rhythm of doing really, really well, and it was incredible. So to rewind back them 11 years when I started with Carole Nash, if we had thought we'd have gone on this journey, it would have been hard to imagine.
I mean, it's not just the titles, it's Suzuka, it's Grand Prix, MotoGP races. We're here at the RAC Club in London, which all the greats of British motorsports have sort of walked through this building. Do you feel today that you sort of belong in that top echelon of?
Yes and no. For sure, stats-wise, yes. But I enjoy the quiet life as well. I don't know. It's very hard for me to celebrate my success or live that success day to day, because especially with kids who are so grounding. I've got 2 young boys, they're 8 and 10. You get stuck into normality, and normality for me is taking them to football runs or doing school pickups when I'm around. But my job requires me to put on a leather suit, which feels like you turn into the alter ego, the Superman, if you like. And I can play that character because it's like you put on your suit, your mask, if you like, and go out and win races. But it's a strange life as well, because you can be standing on top of the podium in front of hundreds or thousands of people celebrating, and in 3 hours' time you're at an empty airport, waiting on a delayed flight, maybe with a few friends, and nobody knows who you are. It's a really, really strange balance, but I prefer that. I prefer the quieter side. It's hard to juggle that balance sometimes.
Sounds like Superbike has sort of been your happy place. You've never really had that desire to be a sort of Marc Marquez style global superstar?
Well, I wouldn't say I didn't have the desire. I always had the desire that I wanted to go and give MotoGP a good shot. And in reality, I never had the opportunity. There was always some conversations or news that I might go there, but reality was I never had an opportunity. I hope I don't retire and that eats at me a little bit, because that's the pinnacle of motorsport. But when I look at the calendar, the 19, 20, 21 races, I guess, it's incredible. It's so tough on normal life, how to have a balance in life. And I think I might lose touch a little bit. Superbike, it's not easy. It's a very tough job. You also have to travel the world. We race 13 times a year. Quite a lot of testing goes on as well. PR, marketing commitments. So it's still a busy year. but nothing like MotoGP. And I feel with that, you have a good balance, you know, of where you are. But I think when it comes to that global superstars, it's not something I ever craved. I've met Mark a few times, and we were motocrossing, and I was going back to the hotel to go motocrossing the next day with my friends, and he was leaving the track early to go and do a photo shoot, to get on a plane to go somewhere else the next day, and I thought, I wouldn't want that life, you know. So I do feel very fortunate that I've had a good balance.
So here's the thing, Alvaro next month is going to go over to Malaysia to race a MotoGP bike, probably as Superbike world champion. Are you a little bit envious when you see him doing that?
No, but I'm really happy for him, because obviously Kawasaki don't have a MotoGP bike to give me that opportunity. I think it's a great opportunity for him, because Ducati right now in MotoGP are seem to be, banging the drum. They're incredibly strong and competitive. He's riding really well on Superbike, done some tests as well, so he's well prepared. So I hope he can go and do a good job, because then it paints Superbike in a good light as well. I remember back in 2012, I did a couple of wildcard races filling in for Casey Stoner at the time, and Repsol Honda needed someone just to ride the bike, and I was the guy that got the opportunity, and I loved it. 2 good races in, was it Misano and Aragon? I was 7th and 8th, and just brushing shoulders with them guys gave me so much confidence. So he's been there, he's done it before. One of his last GPs in Phillip Island, I think he was 4th, wasn't he, in the Ducati? So hopefully he can do a good job.
And you've always got a new challenge coming up next year. Something looking forward to?
Yeah, really, but something new. I needed some different motivation, going forward. But trying to put the brakes on thinking too much about that, and we've won last race at Kawasaki, and I want to throw the kitchen sink at it. And just our last race in Portugal, I made a disaster on Sunday, especially in the Superpole race. I felt like potentially it was one of my last opportunities to win with Kawasaki. My next win would take me either alongside or past Giacomo Agostini for FIM World Championship race wins, and I was emotionally wanted it too much. I rode in a bad way, made mistakes, so bit of a change of plan this weekend, go out and just try and find the groove with my team, work hard on Friday in practices and see what we can do. But Jerez is a tough track for us, so we have to see what comes.
Seems like there's a real buzz around Superbike after the top rack staying, Alvaro's with the Ducati next year. We've got a slight change to the rules as well. Is that something that you were aware was going to come, the weight limit regulation changes? Well,
there's loads of different regs coming in, and of course listen, I'm not at a technical level, I ride the bike, and I can be disgruntled at things going on and have my opinion, but when the rules are made, they're generally made in collaboration with the organisers, Dorna, the governing body, the FIM, and the Manufacturers Association, which every manufacturer has a representative, and it was a common rules that were agreed by everybody. We just have to see, with any rule changes, there's always not a cooling off period, but a trial period to see if it's really working. I've been the victim to rule changes through the beginning of Kawasaki when they'd built a really good bike, and like Ducati have now, we felt like rules were penalising us as opposed to just helping others. But I do understand the need for something that unifies everybody. This is production racing at the end of the day, and you're racing a bike in the shop that can cost £15,000 to one that can cost 40 with minimal changes allowed in the engine. So there has to be some kind of, to make it a sport, and sport should be fair, there has to be something in there.
We're seeing this balance of performance come in with different regulations across different classes now. Do you think that's a way that you see production racing going?
It has to, in a way, for the reasons I spoke about before, about the difference of cost price of production bikes. So if you harness the regulations so strict that you can't change anything in bikes that cost 20% of the most expensive bike, then you don't have a sport. With the weight limits, they've worked very successful through autosport racing and car racing, right from a kid racing karts, you're used to using ballast, right through to to F1. And in the production classes now with Moto 3, Moto 2, which are, let's say, more prototype, but have worked very well there. And now in the Supersport 300 class and Supersport class, it's normal. So it was only a matter of time before that crept into Superbike racing. It's become more and more obvious and painful to race against Alvaro Bautista, who's an incredible rider, but a flyweight, and coupled with the horsepower available on his V4R Ducati, you can lose up to 3-4 tenths on one straight. That's where the speed trap is measured, or the sector's measured, but you also forget all the other accelerations around the lap time, which is very, very hard to make up in all the other areas of the track where their bike can be as equally strong, because you're working on electronics and chassis which are very open. So I felt like it was always a matter of time. The right guy on that bike really showed its strengths. I try not to talk too much about it because you can be labelled as moaning, but it's just our reality. You can just imagine when you've done everything right in the past many times with me, or just more recently like Top Rack did in Portimao, to be blasted on the straight even before the finish line. And I don't know if it's an organiser's ploy, but more and more now we're seeing onboard cameras from me and Top Rack and the Ducati passing us. Maybe it's propaganda because there's generally a huge gap before we get to turn one. But that's how it is. You know, I've enjoyed many years at Kawasaki when I don't feel our engine was more strong than Chaz Davis when I was racing him. But our package, our total package, was the strongest in the paddock. It was great for me and probably not so great for the others, but that's racing. Sometimes you can't always have it your way.
And from the outside looking in, it looks like you're riding as well today as you were when you won your first world title back then.
I certainly feel that way. Sometimes it's easy to doubt yourself, but then there's moments where, you know, the bike works incredible. You know, when the Kawasaki ZX-10RR has grip, it's incredible. This year I've had a few Super Poles more recently, and in them Super Pole races I can be competitive. But there's a few fundamentals with our bike that we struggle at the end of the races. Overheating the front tyre, bike lacks turning, and then you've got the devil and angel here and here, and you want to keep pushing with them guys, but you know that, you know, this guy's tapping the shoulders then anymore, and you're going to go down. So it's about reining it back in.
And obviously Sunday night, end of championship, you have a party, and that's you for 6 months. I guess you. What does Jonathan Rea do in the winter months?
Winter months. Well, after the season's done, I don't know how much partying will be done, but it'd be nice to have you know, a meal with my team. Generally, there's, you know, right now I'm not a shoe-in, but we're looking very good for top 3 in the championship. So there's a, you know, a top 3 presentation somewhere, and then we look forward to testing with my new team, taking some time out. There's a lot of trade fairs and shows. A huge one in EICMA in Italy that I'll visit. Lots of marketing and media events, but November for me is quite relaxed. You know, maybe some testing, but it's feet up, few beers, start living like a normal person and less like an athlete before switching on to December and getting really stuck into training again, because our season starts. It's looking like it's going to start in Phillip Island again in February. Yeah, be full steam ahead for that.
And are you going to be watching the last few rounds of MotoGP?
I can't say I watch every race. The kids are massive football fanatics, so most of the weekends are dragging them from pitch to pitch or tournament to tournament or training school here and there. So I've missed quite a lot, but more recently it's hotting up. It looks like it's great going down to the wire with Jorge Martin and Pecco Bagnaia. So, you know, 2 great riders are riding very well. Yeah, I think it could go right down to the wire.
And finally, last question. 12 months from now, you've just won your 7th world title, and the phone goes and it's your team, and you've got the chance to ride their MotoGP bike at your choice of track. Firstly, are you accepting it? And secondly, what's the dream track you would do that at?
Well, I like how you started the question. You know, a 7th world title would be I would say it would surpass the first one, the GP. Yeah, of course, I would have to accept that. That would be crazy not to. And where I would do it, I would ask to do it the following year, maybe somewhere like Assen or Portimao. A track that's got a bit of flow that I enjoy, that I know. Yeah, you would never know, would you?
Well, let's hope we are celebrating that 7th title. For now, all the best this weekend. And until next year, thank you, Jonathan Rea.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Cheers.